Monday Night Wars podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Monday Night Wars. It is WrestleMania 13. Let's do it. What?
I'm not doing WrestleMania 13.
It's the review of WrestleMania 13.
You just took notes on my presentation?
Yeah. And let me tell you, I have some things to say.
Uh-huh.
No, it's fine.
Go ahead.
You stole WrestleMania 13 from me.
Absolutely, I did.
I wanted to talk about WrestleMania 13 because we had one of the greatest matches of all time.
We did.
At WrestleMania 13. Blood from a Stone.
Yeah.
Stone Cold versus Bret the Hitman Hart. And you would not let me talk about it.
Yeah, I would not let you talk about it. Not the COVID that left you barfing like the whole weekend. Not that at all.
It was just phlegm. I was just throwing up phlegm. Look, if Tracy Morgan can do it at a Knicks game, I can do it on our pod. You know?
How bad was that video? I haven't seen it. I don't want to see it, to
it's
be
a
honest.
lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot. Yeah, he like when people do that, I've never thrown up like that. Like just projectile seems like endless stream. Like you know, like The Exorcist. Like you see The Exorcist and you go, nah, people don't throw up like that.
Yeah, and then you see it and you're like, you need to go to a hospital.
Yeah, and then people do it. Like when I throw up, it's usually just kind of like a bleh, and I'm done, you know?
Yeah.
Like I get it out, I'm good. And I don't know, but I'm not sick anymore. So let's talk about WrestleMania 13. What did you think of WrestleMania 13?
I thought it was good. Really liked it.
Yeah.
My cat.
Anyways, I'm just kidding.
My cat is done because you won't stop talking about WrestleMania 13. She said, "Get the fuck away from me. I'm done with this shit."
Wow. Well, let's talk about what we actually came here to talk about, because that is March 31st, 1997. We got WCW Nitro at the Roanoke Civic Center in Roanoke, Virginia. And let's get into it. Now I'm gonna switch over. I'm gonna switch over to my notes because that was like the location.
Yeah.
But now I gotta have note. And here's the notes. We got a match. Well, I guess we should start with the fact that the NWO is here. This seems to be how we start every week, though. The NWO has arrived. They are backstage. Wow. They're here and they're upset. They seem kind of upset though. Like they're mad about stuff.
Well, unless I'm mistaken, this NWO that showed up was like exclusively Nash and like Six and like not Hogan, not DiBiase, not Bischoff. Like that was that's the point of them being upset.
Yeah, there's no Bischoff, there's no Scott Hall, there's no Hulk Hogan. And they want to know where is everybody. So that's what we got going on. But that's really it. And then we go into our match, which is Lex Luger and the Giant, because now they're a tag team, versus the iconic tag team duo of Ric Fuller and Roadblock.
Yep.
Love it. I love it. You know, I've been telling you recently. I know, you know, we've been talking about this offline. I said, you know, we have not had enough. I've not gotten my fill of Ric Fuller and Roadblock.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you tell me about? Yeah, you'll love to see it. So why don't you tell me about this match? You know, like, and I gotta tell you, remember how I said early on that I go on, you know, prowrestlingfandom.com or whatever to get a card, and they usually have the times. And for a long time, they had the WCW times, but they did not have the WWF times. And I took that to be a sign of nobody cared. to time these matches. Like, this shit sucks.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here with a stopwatch doing this. That has changed. And now it's WCW without times, and WWF's got times. Take that as you will, as we talk about Lex Giant versus Rick Fuller and Roadblock.
Oh man, I mean, my first note is Lex and Giant weren't going to lose this. There's just no way. After their win, the Harlem Heat attacked them. They're going to have a Four Corners match at the pay-per-view, which last week they did a horrible job explaining, and they still will, really up until the point of the pay-per-view. We cut to commercial and come back with an interview with Harlem Heat. And Gene asked them about that Four Corners match. And Booker says, we're 7-time tag team champs, but we get no respect, which is actually fucking accurate. Like, that's fair. That's 100% fair from Booker. Stevie Ray echoes this sentiment. And then Sister Sherry says that Luger and the Giant stick their nose where it doesn't belong. I don't really understand that, but okay, fine. This is my problem with WCW booking right now, though. 90% of this is going nowhere. Like, this Harlem Heat, their complaints of them getting no respect makes perfect sense. It's going nowhere. It's going to be done by next week, and then it's going to be on to whatever the next thing is. Like, their booking is just so bad. Well, let me rephrase that. It's not so bad. It's just so, like, absolutely the most average you could do of, like, let's not put in the work to really make any of these things happen. So this gets a C for me. A lot of things tonight are going to get like a C or a D because they just don't really want to go forward with everything.
That's it. It's really it, right? It's just they're wrestling Spring Stampede. You know, I like Booker T. He's always good on the mic, but why? I don't understand this rivalry. Just
Right.
I guess. I mean, can you feel it, sucker? Because I can't. Because I can't.
I
After
can't
that,
feel
though,
it.
yeah, and then we just keep rolling because that's how WCW does it, right? Like, we don't really tell stories. We're just kind of gonna roll, and then we've got a WCW Women's Cruiserweight title tournament now.
Yeah.
Okay, and we got I'm gonna butcher these names because we do it for the laughs, ladies and gentlemen, and that I can't pronounce these names. Miko Satomura
It's close
and
enough. Yeah.
Toshi. Yeah, I'm doing it. This one though, this one, God help us, Toshi Uematsu.
It's Uematsu, but yes.
Yeah.
I do love that they're adding a
So,
cruiserweight title to the women's division that they never feature.
do they even have a women's champion? Like, I'm not even
They
sure
do.
anymore.
They do have a women's champion. It's Akira Hakudo. That's who the women's champion is.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Don't they have a match later? Because we actually tonight they decided to have some
yeah,
ladies.
I think that is the case. Zabisco during this
Yes.
keeps asking which one is which is both kind of racist, but also kind of the point of the audience knows nothing about what's going on. Like, they really don't know who these people are. Uematsu wins. It gets a D for me, not really because of what they're doing, but because of the inconsistent booking of the women's division. They're fine, but they don't get a lot of time, and it just kind of is a whatever match. It's a title that really doesn't need to be featured even remotely.
I'm really excited for this WCW Women's Cruiserweight title. I just
Yeah,
think they're gonna
absolutely.
do so many really fun, great things with it. It's an exciting new angle. We've been begging them for new angles, new storylines, new things, and here they come with this great idea. This title will never happen. I'm telling you now, ladies and gentlemen, there is a final. We do get a final, and someone is crowned, and then we
Okay.
never speak of it again. So bear with us as we go through that, and it goes till April.
Wow.
It's like a month-long thing. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
It
this
goes
is
through,
the
like,
end of
mid-April.
March, so it's not that long.
Yeah, I guess.
This is the literal
Yeah, and
final day of March. That's not a very long time.
fair. Is it Yeah, I guess for them it is. Well, no, they've got the 31st. They've got next Monday. They've got 2 Mondays of March
Scott, I don't know how
to
to tell
celebrate.
you this, but we're doing the 31st.
Oh, did I say that?
Yeah, it is the
Well,
31st.
I'm thrown off because I didn't get to WrestleMania 13.
There you go. There you go.
That's the issue here. That's why I'm thrown off. Well,
Mhm.
let's talk about something that's gonna bring me back to it, okay? Because we got Psychosis and we got a Viano, and I'm all
Mhm.
about it. This is Viano 4, who is, I think, the one that I usually use. He seems to be the kind of the
Yes.
mainstay is Viano
Yeah.
4. Tell me about it, man.
Look, they have a great match. They do. Unfortunately, there's no storyline in this. There's not a whole lot to write about. There is a segment backstage during this match where NWO are seemingly falling apart against the members that we mentioned earlier who arrived, and they're throwing a fit about specifically the members that we mentioned who are not there, being Scott Hall, Hulk Hogan, Ted DiBiase, and Eric Bischoff. There is a little bit more to go to in a Scott Hall. We won't do it yet, but we'll definitely get there soon because that's the only one that actually has a real reason why he's not around. But basically, they're talking about like, hey, this isn't fair. We're the ones having to do everything, blah blah, and that's fine. Psychosis though ultimately wins this with a guillotine leg drop. It is a very fun match. It gets a recommend from me to watch it. I think they both do a great job. It gets a B.
I mean, you can't go wrong with a Viano match. Come on, man. And then after that, though, we got Mean Gene with the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Because he's coming back. He's not injured anymore, I guess. So
Gene
we'll see.
says Gene says that he's gotten chin music from Flair on the subject of Roddy Piper. Piper's music hits and Piper comes out. Piper says he respects Flair and there is no truth to the rumor that Flair's girlfriends call his waterbed the Dead Sea. I laughed, but I don't understand why this is happening. Nate then says he knows Piper could be at the Oscars, so he's glad he's here instead. Piper obviously has a decent Hollywood career. Nate calls him, first, real quick, decent, but miles better than Hogan's ever was. Nate calls him one of his best friends. He says that there are 100 kids that call themselves the best, but not one calls out Piper, which I do think is a pretty decent line. Piper then also puts over Flair and suggests that they stand side by side. Flair says he will stand side by side if Hot Rod fucks this fan. That's not what is actually said, but it's strongly implied because they just bring a random fan into the ring. She's an attractive woman and she's wearing a Piper shirt, and he just really strongly implies like, "Hey, you should bang this woman and then we can be on the same side." It's really weird. Shivani calls this a moment in history. It's not. It gets a C from me. It's not very good.
It's like the Stone Cold Bret Hart match from WrestleMania 13 you didn't let me talk about. That's how iconic this is. This is big. This is huge. Yeah. And then after then we go to commercial. We come back from a commercial and we get some flashbacks from last week
Mhm.
where the Macho Man beat Prince Iakea's ass and DDP. So we got a match, which leads us to Prince Iakea again. And
Mhm.
this time he's defending the WCW World Television Championship against La Parca. We love to see it. He's not the chairman yet, but
You gotta be careful, bro. Your voice, you're not quite 100%, so you're gonna destroy yourself doing that. Oh, hell yeah, put on a La Parka mask. Absolutely. Oh, that audio is great content. Love it.
yeah, man. La Parca. Let's see how that picks up.
Anyways, going back to the match, this is a fun but very sloppy match. Laparca is starting to lean into the chair thing. Like you said, he's not the chairman yet, but he does bring a chair at some point into the match. He kind of teases using it as a weapon, but never really does. He more uses it as a prop for him to like launch off of and stuff, which is cool. I love that. Sabu would do that very famously in his career. I love that. The bell accidentally rings during this match, confuses everyone because it sounds like the match, like a disqualification happened or something, but then it doesn't. And the ref's like, no, the match is still going on. Then Laparca holds his chair and Ayakea hits a crossbody into it for the win, and he retains. It's fine. They tried their hardest, but it is kind of a sloppy match, so I'm giving it a C.
It's Laparca, though.
C for chair.
And I love Laparca. And I love Laparca. After that, though, we got Mean Gene with Lord Steven Regal, who's heading out to the ring because he's got a match. And, he always good.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's not really a whole lot to say here. It's just, it's a typical Steven Regal promo, but he's always good.
Yeah.
You know?
He says some things like, last time Regal fought Ayakea, or Gene says that last time Regal fought Ayakea, he underestimated him. Regal calls Bischoff J. Edgar Bischoff, which I laughed at. He says he was distracted by Dopey the Dwarf, meaning Rey Mysterio. He says he will take back the belt and turn Rey into a vegetable, which is kind of horrible. And then we go right into the match. We go right into the match, and it's him versus Chris Jericho. And Jericho actually gets an upset win against Regal, and Regal takes out his frustration on him post-match with an avalanche double underhook suplex, then a massive pile driver before locking in the Regal stretch. Renegade runs in to help this, and then just decides like, no, I'm good. I'm not going to do this. I don't know if this is going to try to set up like a turn for Renegade. We'll see. So then Joe Gomez runs in, and he goes to stop him, and Regal just absolutely obliterates him. Then Billy Kidman runs in, and like Billy Kidman ain't doing shit against Regal, so Regal destroys him. And then some other guy who I didn't really see who it was. It was some jobber. And Regal
Lenny Lane. How are you missing Lenny Lane?
My bad, Lenny. But Regal stands tall to end this. This seems to be a new direction for the Regal character. We're going to see him do this for sure over the next few weeks, of just kind of being like a badass. Like, even though he loses, he kind of wins. And I love that. So I'm giving this a B, solid B. Really enjoyed this moment. This was a moment in time.
Much like WrestleMania 13. After that, though, we got a Sting t-shirt. We got the Sting Scorpion t-shirt for sale for only $20, man. That's a good t-shirt. It's a classic t-shirt. Buy it. And then we go into hour number 2 with Tony, Bobby, and Mike Tenay. And we get another recap, which we've already done, so I don't need to recap it because you got it.
There you go.
And then we got a women's match. We got the women's match. The WCW Women's Champion, Akira Hakuto. What a wonderful phrase. It means no worries for the rest of your days.
Absolutely. What? Yeah.
Yeah, I just smacked my microphone doing that too.
And
so
you
I
know,
think that'll sound really great on the
WCW
show.
was a problem-free philosophy.
Ooh.
The big boys play.
Ooh. Akira and Debbie. Because Debbie Combs is wrestling her. So we got Akira Hakuto versus Debbie Combs.
Yes.
I don't know who that is.
Debbie Combs was a longtime wrestler. Her most notable era was in really the 80s. By this point, she's kind of on her way out. She will actually retire by next year. She was pretty notable. She was never like a major like champion, but she did go against champions. So she definitely had a pretty decent career in the 80s. And you think that the crowd, being a WCW crowd, would really recognize her, but they seemingly don't. So that kind of is what it is, which is kind of a shame for her. Hakuto wins with a German suplex and a bridge pin, which Shivani incorrectly calls a tiger suplex. And then Heenan calmly corrects it in replay, which I laughed about. Mean Gene then interviews Medusa. Medusa will be going against Hakuto at the pay-per-view next Sunday. If you want to listen to it or watch our take on it, you got to subscribe to the Patreon, $2 a month. She starts the promo.
What a deal!
She starts the promo when Hakuto attacks her immediately. Gene tells Ono to break them up, and then he says, I don't get in girls' business. And I actually laughed. I thought that was pretty funny. We then get a good old-fashioned break apart or pull apart, and it's fine. I gave it a C. The match itself is not very good. Debbie Combs is clearly on her way out, and you see it in this. So and also they don't get very much time at all. So I gave it a C. It's whatever.
Yeah, it was like 2.5 minutes, I
Yeah.
think. Because I did rough time these, because when they don't give me the time, I rough time them, but I don't usually give those times because they're not probably accurate. But it's about 2.5 minutes. Look at me, man. Look at the stuff I do, though. I actually time these matches, but I don't trust my time, so I don't mention them. Unless it's like ridiculous. I just do it for the purposes of like being ridiculous amounts of
Right.
time, or
Like
when we
way
have
too long or way
time.
too small.
Yeah, it's like 30 seconds, or we have the forfeit due to time.
Yeah.
They're weird.
Time limit draw for 10 minutes, and then it's actually they only wrestled for 6. Yeah.
It's 7 minutes and 45
Yeah.
seconds. Yeah, it's weird. Anyways, we got a sting. We got a stinger. We got a little sting vignette. Taking a look at him. He's there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a vignette.
Yeah. He's in the rafters. He's watching. It's Sting. That's pretty much it. And then after that, because WCW has the best tag team division in professional wrestling, we get Jeff Jarrett and Steve McMichael versus the Amazing French Canadians. It's just why? It's just why? Because we got Lex and Giant versus Rick Fuller and Roadblock, and we got Mongo and Jarrett versus the Amazing French Canadians. We got the Face of Fear. We got the Steiners. We have the Amazing French Canadians, who are a tag team.
Yep.
We've got a lot of tag teams.
Yeah. You got Harlem Heat. You got the Nasty Boys.
Yep. Public Enemy, who we don't love, but they are a tag team.
Correct. High Voltage.
They are a tag
team. Yeah.
Yeah. Steven Regal was in a tag team for a while. The Blue Bloods. We had the Blue Bloods for a while there with Dave Taylor.
But I like
which
what
made
Steven Regal's
sense.
doing. So let's let him
True.
solo.
True. But they were a tag team. They wore the same outfit. They had a thing going. And instead we're just putting random people together. I don't know why. So tell me about Jeff Jarrett and Mongo versus the Amazing French Canadians.
Man, you almost made me choke just
You
laughing.
getting sick?
Yeah, absolutely. Got your COVID, came through the mic. So you mentioned Public Enemy. Well, guess what, Scott? If you like yourself some Public Enemy, they're in this. They decide to join in, and they attack Jarrett. Colonel Parker steals the briefcase, and as the ref is distracted, he hits Mongo for the Canadians' victory, which is fine. Gene comes out to interview Mongo, Deborah, and Jarrett. Deborah tries to get over her "I'm not the one to gossip" phrase, and it doesn't really work. Jarrett gets annoyed and says, "Let's talk about business." And then Mongo thinks he got hit by Jarrett, and this just evolves, and it just ends. It's really, really bad. I gave this a D. Just such a like every time they give them the mic, and Jeff Jarrett's not horrible on the mic, but Jeff Jarrett really has to kind of like he needs a good counterpart, and Mongo ain't it, and Deborah ain't it, and so although he's decent on the mic, this just doesn't work on any level.
Well, and it's another example of this just recycling the same story over and over and over. The did Jarrett hit him with the Halliburton or not thing? It's like, okay, we're good. Is DDP joining the NWO? Is Sting joining the NWO? Did Jarrett hit him with the Halliburton? Stop. Come up with new ideas.
We need to pick me up, Scott, is all I'm saying is we need to pick me up.
It's funny you should say that.
Ooh.
Because we're on the road with Lee Marshall in Huntsville, Alabama, which is where next week Nitro gonna be. That's exciting. Tell me, we got weasel jokes.
We do have weasel jokes, but first we have a reference to Van Morrison, because although we are going to be in Huntsville next week, between next week and this week, we got a pay-per-view, which if you want to listen to, $2 a month on the Patreon. I keep saying listen, but you can watch it now too.
Oh. Wow.
So that pay-per-view isn't going to be in Huntsville. It's going to be in where, Scott?
I don't remember.
Oh, it's your favorite city, Tupelo, Mississippi. Mississippi, rather.
Oh,
Mississippi,
holy
that's
shit.
right. So he makes a Van Morrison reference to suggest it's as sweet as Tupelo honey. Fantastic
Oh,
from Lee Marshall. He says that Huntsville, going back to the city that we will be in next week, is the birthplace of NASA. Didn't actually know that, so thank you, Lee Marshall. But because I know NASA as like Florida and Texas. My grandpa worked for NASA. He was an engineer, so he lived in Florida. We went to go see rocket ships go up. It was awesome. Anyways, so he says that this was the birthplace of NASA, and the whole story hasn't been told, though. He says it's known that they launched a monkey into space, but the first traveler was supposed to be, you guessed it, Scott, a weasel. Bobby says,
wow.
here we go. Here we go. He already knows it's coming his way. And Lee continues that they had to replace the weasel because, like most weasels, he couldn't stop whimpering and wetting himself. Bobby says
Ooh.
Lee should be hunted down and field dressed, and it gets an A+. It's fantastic.
In Huntsville.
Yes.
Hunted down and field dressed in Huntsville. So there you have it. After that, we got Chris Benoit versus Hugh Morris. And Jimmy Hart his suit is just all black. He don't got shit on it this week. I
Yeah.
noticed that because it was unusual.
Mhm.
So it must mean this is serious. This match is serious. So tell me about Chris Benoit versus Hugh Morris.
Hugh
Very serious.
Morris, I mentioned a few weeks ago that Hugh Morris has a new theme song. It's a very like electric guitar kind of rock laden theme song. Now that I've listened to it a few times, it's very clearly a ripoff of Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin. It's just slowed down. They just slowed down the tempo. And then, the opening vocals that Robert Plant hits, those high notes, instead of it being vocals, it's just replicated on guitar. But it's the same fucking thing, which was a common thing with WCW. Benoit wins rather easily. Then he gets attacked by Dungeon of Doom. Go figure. Mike Tenay rightly asks, where are the horsemen to help Benoit? Who knows? We don't know what we're doing on WCW. Flair finally comes out after minutes of Benoit getting beat up, and he clears everyone. Gene then interviews them, and it really feels like the only storylines that WCW wants to push are the ones I hate the most. So there you go. Benoit targets Sullivan and calls out more shenanigans. The only thing I will say is it gets real personal. Benoit gets real personal. I didn't want to write it down because I think we've shit on Sullivan enough. And this gets really personal between Benoit and Sullivan, and the fact that, Sullivan's wife left him and his kid apparently doesn't want to speak to him. So I figured I'd let this one go. But it is actually foreshadowing of why Benoit himself will leave WCW. I think the year is 2000 when that happens. He clearly does not like Sullivan, and that will come to a head in many years from this point. It gets deep for me. It's not great. The match is okay, and then everything that happens afterwards is horrible. So didn't like it. Moving on.
Yeah, I mean, no shit, he doesn't like Sullivan. This is nasty. So much so I was kind of, all right. I think Kevin's had enough. Like,
Yeah,
you and I are not fans of Kevin Sullivan, but it's kind of, all right, bro. All right, you made your point.
yeah, yeah.
But like,
when I decide I'm not going to shit on Sullivan, we've gone far
yeah.
enough.
I mean, I get it that Kevin Sullivan a piece of shit and or was allegedly a piece of shit and then allegedly a domestic abuser, which is part of the reason women left, and could explain why Benoit has some animosity towards him. Sullivan obviously has some animosity too. He stole his wife, but I'm just gonna say, he without sin, Chris. Okay, and that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. We're gonna move on.
Yeah, before we get in trouble.
Because yeah. After that, though, we got a recap of last week's Nitro again, where DDP got his ass beat. And that leads us to a DDP match. We got DDP Diamond Dallas Page versus Johnny Ringo.
I had the exact same thought. I'm so glad you mentioned that. Technically,
It's Lance.
it's Lance Ringo. Yeah.
Yeah. You look like someone walked over your grave. But yeah, it's a nobody. So where's this gonna go?
Lance Ringo brings out the Playboy that Mach taunted DDP with the other week. It's the exact same one, which is hilarious. That means they shipped it from city to city. That's great. I love that. DDP immediately
No, it's
slaps
just
Ringo.
Dusty been carrying it with him. Dusty just
That's
has it
true.
in his travel bag.
they were in the back and they were going, man, we really got to do something to make like Lance Ringo really get under DDP's skin. And then somebody was like, oh, what if he has the Playboy? And they're like, dude, that issue was a month ago. We can't find it now. And Dusty Rhodes went, I got a solution for you, baby.
Just pulls it out of his shirt. No, what they should do is the Playboy should keep making an appearance, and it should just get more worn and dog-eared, like it's just being passed around, man.
Pages
Just
sticking together. Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, I interrupted you. Go
No,
ahead.
you're good. You're good. That was great. So DDP immediately slaps Ringo upon seeing this. DDP gets Ringo in a fireman's carry and converts it into a diamond cutter, also known nowadays as the TKO. Mean Gene interviews DDP. He asks DDP if he is affected by Mach's shenanigans. DDP says that his wife is one of the most beautiful women in the world and he's proud of her Playboy spread. By the way, she's gorgeous, so that's kind of a fair statement. He says he isn't proud of what Mach did to Kimberly. He says, you want to come into my real world, then I'm going to slap into yours. Gene asks if Kimberly will be with him at Spring Stampede. And at that moment, we hear, brother, 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 brother. I can answer that for you. But first, I want to ask you a question. Elizabeth just smarted me up to something. She told me your name is DDP, a.k.a. Diamond Dallas Page. The Diamond Doll was Kimberly. The Diamond Cutter is your finishing hold, which you will never get on the Macho Man Randy Savage. My question for you is, what are you? Some kind of a, and then he says, and this fucking killed me, gemologist or something? I don't know what that is. As far as Kimberly goes,
Man likes gyms, you know?
As far as Kimberly goes, the Macho Man doesn't care. If Kimberly comes out or not, it's Spring Stampede. We're all gonna see if DDP has any family jewels at all. Because I'd say that you got none. And then DDP says, well, Macho Man, I guess we're gonna figure out at Spring Stampede. And don't forget to bring your little bimbo Liz. And then because since I am bringing the lady, you might as well bring the tramp. What a line. At which point Mach screams, what did you say? And I fucking laughed so hard. It was so good. And we cut right to commercial. The match is whatever, but this is an A+. This is an A+ between the two of them.
Mach didn't take kindly to that one. That was a banger, and Mach didn't like it. It was a good line. It was a good line. But yeah, you're right. We go to commercial, and then we come back, and we got a match. We got our main event, and this is the amazing thing.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Wow, what's so funny?
Well, this is the main event. Is hilarious.
Yeah. Well, say what you will. It's a match between two legitimate tag teams.
Yes.
Which is better than we've had. But this is the main event. We got Rick and Scott Steiner, main event quality guys, versus High Voltage.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tell me.
So the Steiners were never going to lose this. And Scott hits a Steiner screwdriver, which I think is the first time he's ever debuted it. They call it the Triple S initially, the Steiner suplex screwdriver or screwdriver suplex or something like that. But it'll eventually become the Steiner screwdriver.
Steiner screwdriver. Yeah, Steiner screwdriver suplex. That's the order.
They eventually will just reduce it, which makes sense. Too long of a title, even though Triple S is not horrible. But anyway, so it's a good match. It's a decent match. High Voltage gets a lot of time to shine. It gets a B. And then immediately everything devolves right after that, like immediately. Six and Nash come out on commentary. They clear house on commentary. Bobby, Tony, they all leave. Nash says the president has a State of a Union address every couple of months, so he thinks it's time the NWO does too. The only difference is, I'm not going to lie to you. I laughed so hard at this because Nash gets all like, every promo Nash does has like some weird political thing in it, and it kills me. He says he doesn't know what's going on with the NWO. People wonder where Scott Hall is. He's taking care of business more important than professional wrestling right now. So, of course, I had to look that up. And unfortunately, Hall failed a drug test, apparently, and was forced into rehab at this time, which is why he's gone. And this is really when the Scott Hall problems start. So, unfortunately, that's where we're at. And it's just never going to get better. Scott Hall will still have some big moments in wrestling, but this is the downward spiral of Scott Hall, unfortunately. Number one, he is an addict, and that's nothing to joke about. Number two, he also experienced some intense traumas in his young life, which led to addiction. So it just is unfortunate. We will have to keep bringing it up. We'll try to be as sensitive as we can around that. But that is the reality of what's happened with Scott Hall. So Bischoff, Hogan, DiBiase, and Vincent are all up at opening night for Rodman's movie, while we're here taking care of business. Six then mocks Rodman. Nash tells them to get focused and pay attention. He says, I'm the one person in this business who can stand alone. He tells the Steiners he will wrestle the Steiners solo if necessary. He also says, as long as he has breath in his lungs, he will fight WCW by himself. That's the end of this promo, and we kind of end the night. I do have some thoughts on this, though. It's a weird one because I actually like the idea of Nash taking over. I think that's really what should happen in the NWO right here. But this storyline probably should have started months ago instead of where we're starting right now. And where should it have started, Scott?
With Roddy Piper winning the title.
Exactly. That's exactly where it should have started. Piper should have won the title at Starrcade. Hogan should have dropped it to him, and this starts the dissension for the NWO because Hogan would have had by that point, a 6-month run on top, and you can always bring Hogan back at some point. Of course, he's Hogan; he's a big name. You can't hold the guy down, but should have started there. Piper gets the title. He has like a nice, let's say, 3-month run. That's it, the only run of his career. And Hogan keeps concocting these schemes to get the title back, but all his schemes he isn't around for. He's off doing Hollywood stuff. He's doing all of his straight to VHS movies. Then with Hall gone and Hogan partying, Nash starts to think to himself, well, wait a minute, I'm a former WWF champion. Why the hell am I playing second fiddle here? So Nash makes Six his right-hand man, and they betray Hogan and kick the excess NWO members to the curb. Nash gets WCW title, and you carry that wave of momentum into the new era of the NWO, specifically one without Hogan. On top of that, not only is that idea to me a good idea, but on top of that, Nash is the NWO guy. Like, look, Hogan's the most famous. You obviously can't take that away from him. And on paper, Hall is the best. But Nash is the only dependable one of the three. Nash is the only one who is there every single week. Obviously, we didn't know about Hall's problems until this point, but they are problems. Hogan is gone. It's not that he's not dependable, but he's gone. He's got other commitments, things that he's got to do. So he is gone. Nash is the guy, and you can work that into the storyline of him taking over. It makes perfect sense. But they just don't do that. And they should just let him run with it. Unfortunately, none of that's going to happen. Literally, this storyline that they have teased, which is a decent storyline with this promo, it's going to get dropped next week. They're going to just go away from it. And it's just like, okay, so I'm giving this a C. It has a lot of potential, but it just never really goes anywhere. And it's unfortunate. And it's just classic. They don't really know what they're doing as far as booking goes.
And here we go to Peoria, Illinois. What a segue. To
Love it.
WWF Raw at the Peoria Civic Center, Peoria, Illinois. And we got some matches for you. Oh, you actually you actually want me to go get into it. Okay. The European title. British Bulldog versus Owen Hart. I thought they were friends.
No,
And I'll
not
tell you, it's
anymore.
13 minutes. I know. I'm just kidding. And I'll tell you it's 13 minutes because they have the time.
There you
So
go.
tell me about
Perfect.
it.
By the way, we don't know if those times are accurate. Somebody else took them. They could have been just as bad as you are. So this is a
True.
fantastic match. It sees the two family members hitting each other hard. If you remember, over the last few weeks, they've started to have this dissension. Finally, they kind of broke up last week. Owen said, I want a title match. And British Bulldog said, fine, you can have it. But when you lose, and he didn't say if you lose, said when you lose, you won't get another one. And so cool storyline going into this. Both men are tired of each other, and we've watched this split in real time. This has been one of the better mid-card storylines, I think, out of either promotion. Frankly, they've done a pretty good job in the last few weeks of building this up to this point. Bulldog insults Owen by locking in a sharpshooter, but Owen eventually counters it into his gorgeous enziguri. And you know, Scott, I love a good enziguri.
He does.
As the match progresses, Owen gets furious and he grabs a chair with the ref knocked out. Tries to attack Bulldog, who counters and grabs the chair himself. Bulldog goes to swing, but Bret Hart runs in the ring and takes him down, not to fight, just to prevent further fighting. He separates both men.
Family man Bret.
Family man Bret. High moral values, Bret Hart. He grabs a mic and he says, can't you see that this is what all these people want? Can't you see what they are doing to you? He pleads with Bulldog and Owen to stop giving in to people who don't know the first thing about family values, unlike family value man, Bret the Hitman Hart. He brings them, he begs them to join him, saying that this country has based themselves on brother versus brother. They turn the hearts against each other, and it's time to stop. Jerry finally says that Bret Hart's starting to make some sense, something he should have started last week, but he didn't. He was still doing the whole Bret Hart's a whiner thing last week. Anyways, Hart brings up how they turned, they being the fans and WWF themselves, turned he and Owen against each other. He says they used Diana as a ploy to fuel Bulldog, which is technically true. Hart details a story of saving Owen from bullying as a kid. As he starts telling the story, Owen starts breaking down. Owen's crying. He tells Owen that he loves him and he hugs him. Bret then hugs Davey Boy. The three men are hugging each other and they walk out together. And this, to me, is Bret's best promo of 1997. It is short enough that it is succinct and needs what it is what it needs to be, and it drives a story perfectly. This is Bret Hart at his absolute best to me in 1997. Gets an A+. It's a fantastic open to the show from match into the ending segment. Loved all of it.
Agree. It's also the start of our heel, kind of the official start of our heel Bret angle with the Hart Foundation, and they've kind of alluded to the storyline is going to be hating on America, which as you know, I'm going to rage about, because the obvious angle that no one ever does is we're old school professional wrestlers and we're better. It's just that easy, but they don't do it. They do the America sucks, Canada rules stuff, whatever. It works. The fans hate him. It works. It works. But I'm really glad that you mentioned Family Guy Bret, because I thought that was great. And as Family Guy Bret is leaving, Sonny comes out on commentary, and I'm not going to say anything. What are you laughing about? I'm just saying that Sonny comes out on commentary as family man Bret leaves.
Yeah,
And I'll
absolutely.
just say, sunny days are here for our next match. That's all I'm gonna say. Allegedly. I should say allegedly because Bret will friggin' sue us.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I don't put it past him. But we got it. We got our next match that Sonny's out here for some strange reason because it's a lucha match. It's El Mosco versus Supernova. And it seems that Sonny's purpose out here is to be racist because she and Vince just make Mexican jokes.
Yeah.
So there's
She
that. Well, and to be fair, they plug the pay-per-view too, but there's
Yeah.
also just a lot of racist jokes.
Yeah, I mean, she tries to pretend to speak Spanish on commentary. Vince clearly doesn't know a lick of Spanish because he thinks she's speaking Spanish. Uh, there are some words that are accurate, that are actual, Spanish words, but a lot of them aren't, like you said. This match is fine. They do a good job in the ring, but it doesn't fit here. WWF is trying to do what WCW does with the luchadors. Doesn't work. They've got all the ones that we care about, and there's no point in trying to do what they're doing. Just do your own thing. So it get to see for me. It's not bad by any stretch, minus the Sunny stuff. It's not a bad match. It's just it kind of was like, oh, that doesn't really fit here. So is what it is.
Well, we got an LOD interview with Jim Ross. And apparently they're gonna be facing Bulldog and Owen because everything's good again. They're back. Everybody's back. It's fine. Not a whole lot to say here, right? I mean, just they're gonna go against them. There are some anatomical references made, and why don't you tell me about it?
Hawk says, first off, I'm sorry, this is Animal. Animal says, first off, don't insult the USA. He says, no one remembers the losers. They only remember the champions. In basketball, we remember the Chicago Bulls. In baseball, we remember the baseball champions. I laughed out loud when he said that because he clearly had no clue who the champions were.
Big
For
baseball fans.
Yeah, for the record, the 1996 World Series winner was the New York Yankees. He says they aim to take back the titles to Chicago. And then he says, tell him, Hawk. And Hawk says, well, he says he's going to knock the doggy dumplings out of the Bulldog and the phlegm out of Owen Hart's stinking body. No one else can get away with Hawk's promos. They're good with their absurdity, and only he can pull it off. It gets a solid B for me. Thoroughly enjoyed this interview.
I could have used his help this weekend knocking the phlegm out of me. But
Well, he can't help you anymore.
well, maybe he could if I had a seance
Ooh,
or something.
there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Rest in peace. You guys were great. Both of you. 'Cause
Absolutely.
they're both dead now, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
unfortunately, we all passed
That
away like
sucks.
2 years ago or so.
That sucks.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, on that happy note, we got a match.
Yeah.
We got Alabama Ding Dong Jesse James versus Jerry Fox. Who? I don't know.
Yeah. Honky
A
Tonk
minute
Man,
40.
a minute 40. Wow. James wins
It's really
this.
a minute 39. It's
Ah.
really a minute 39, but I went up one.
Gotcha. Jesse James wins this easily. Honky Tonk Man wants Jesse James as his protege. He hands James his guitar, and James says he doesn't know what to say, but he knows what to do. And then he pretends to play it, and then he shatters it on the ground. He says that the guitar is a little out of tune for him. Didn't like this. Gave it a D, and it's going to get worse.
What do you mean? Let's go to our next match. Next up, we got Savio Vega and Crush of the Nation of Domination versus Conan O'Brien and Ron Bell. It's Adam O'Brien for the record and Ron Bell. And this is 3 minutes and
Huh.
17 seconds.
Sean
What?
is on the phone and asked what effect that sharpshooter last week I'm sorry, not the sharpshooter, it was the figure four on the turnbuckle, what effect that had on him. And Sean sarcastically calls it a setback, but also says he doesn't want to say anything over the phone. He doesn't want to address Bret Hart over the phone. He'll be there next week to address him. Nation wins this. I think it's Crush hits a heart punch. Get to see there's something to this match, it's a jobber match. It's not D-worthy. Everybody does fine. It's really for a vehicle for the Sean thing, and just to make us know that, like, I guess the uh, Nation of Domination is lethal. I don't know. So good to see. It's whatever.
We're just blowing through this. After that, we got Paul Bearer and The Undertaker, and Paul wants Taker to take him back. And Undertaker's like, yeah, I'll take you back. But he's just like, psych! And then he beats Paul Bearer's ass.
Yes, he does.
And then Mankind comes out, or Mankind, or should I fucking call him Merlin because he's shooting fireballs? It's just like, and then Sid comes out and is like, chases Mankind off. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but I loved it.
I loved it
What do you
for
make of
two
this?
reasons. I love it for two reasons. Number one, it was absurd, which sometimes absurd is okay. Sometimes what the fuck is going on is okay. For me, this fits that bill. There is kind of some things that make sense. Mankind obviously has a rivalry right now with Taker. He'll be going against him at the pay-per-view for the title. Sid respects Taker, and I think he's supposed to have a match against Mankind next week. So they kind of have a thing going on. So that so far makes sense. And then the other thing that I love this for is this is the official beginning of the Kane storyline. So I'm giving this an optimistic B. Also, Taker does sell the shit out of that fireball. Like, he really makes it seem like that fireball was like fucked him up. So I'm going to give it an optimistic B. I enjoyed it.
I mean, getting hit in the face with a ball of fire. I imagine it singes. Probably lost some eyebrow. Yeah, but after that, we got Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Goldust. 11 minutes. What do you make of this one?
Right before this, right as they're about to come down to the ring, Psycho Sid gets a little promo, little tiny one, and he says, "Mankind wants to deal with fire, then deal with him." He puts over Taker very quickly, and then he says, "Mankind will burn in hell." Damn, bro, that got to be for me. And we go right into this match.
Tiny, I didn't even write it down.
Yeah, it's real quick. It's very quick. Goldust then wastes no time attacking Hunter, which makes perfect sense with the rivalry they've been having over Marlene and all that stuff. At some point, Hunter hits Goldust with what looks like really stiff shots. I mean, he's literally just pounding down on his head, and they look so hard, and you can hear a slapping. So I rewatched it a couple times, and what I realized was, and this is why I wanted to kind of take this note, he's actually clapping his bicep against his pec. And so every time he smacks down, it makes a loud slapping thud with every shot. And it's really cool. I really, really enjoyed it because it looks gnarly. Now, Marlena and Chyna were not supposed to be part of this match. They were supposed to be barred from ringside. And Chyna don't give a shit about you're barred from ringside. So she shows up on the stage and she doesn't give a fuck. And she eventually comes down and attacks Goldust. Hunter gets DQ'd because of this. Hunter hits Pat Patterson. And Pat Patterson starts throwing hands back until Chyna attacks him too. The two of them kind of walk out. They kind of hightail it because Goldust is getting back up. This could have been executed better, but I like everyone involved. It just didn't quite land for me. I'm going to give it a C+. It wasn't perfect. It will not be the end of this rivalry. It's going to continue, obviously. So we're going to have some better moments along the way. But we've had some good moments so far with it. So I'm giving it a C+. I mostly enjoyed it.
I enjoyed Pat Patterson having his day. He went wild, man. Good for him.
Yeah.
Tired of Pat Patterson getting the shit into the stick here. What? After that, we got a fantastic Stone Cold Steve Austin promo. It's all about WrestleMania 13, which Joseph didn't allow me to watch. And it's about how he did not quit. He did not tap. And Bret's a bitch. That's the promo, and it's so good.
Austin says, because Vin Man asked him about his viewpoint, and Austin says, my viewpoint of WrestleMania is just this. Let me clear the air because I never said I quit. Ken Shamrock could have went out there with 10 hearing aids tapped to his fat little head, and he never would have heard it because I never said it. Bret Hart says he beat me to a bloody pulp. That's the biggest bunch of BS I ever heard because I knocked the hell out of my head on a guardrail. Bret Hart, you didn't do a damn thing. On your best day, which was at WrestleMania, you never got the job done. You hooked your little sharpshooter, I'll give you that. The only reason Stone Cold went out was because my head was pumping out more blood than my heart was giving, which is one of the best lines I've ever heard. What a great way of summing that up. You're the biggest piece of trash I've ever met in my life. You talk about coming to the WWF, making a big comeback because the people needed a hero. You talk about being what you thought the people wanted you to be. That's the biggest bunch of BS I ever heard again. You can look at Steve Austin and you can think whatever you want. You can think I'm a class act, or you can think I'm the biggest jackass you ever met. But the bottom line is I ain't changing for nobody. You put me in this ring when the bell goes off, whether you got me against a good guy and the people boo the hell out of me, or you got me against a bad guy and they cheer me, it doesn't make a damn. I'm the 1996 King of the Ring. All I set out to do when the bell rings is whip somebody's ass. And you ain't gonna like how I do it. But I'm damn sure gonna get the job done. I'll say something to Bret Hart right now. If you ain't in the back crying, if you ain't quit the Federation again, put on a clean pair of panties and get your ass out here because I'll beat the hell out of it. Bret Hart shows up on the Titantron and he says that Austin has a lot of nerve even showing up here tonight. He says he kicked Austin's ass at WrestleMania. He says he may not like it. He says, like a good hyena, he should have come back with his tail between his legs. He then says he doesn't have a tail, but he is a hyena who isn't laughing very much. He then says he got his butt kicked and then takes ownership of beating up Austin. Bret says he's finished with Austin, and Austin says, you'll have to kill me to be finished with me. Tell Bulldog and Owen to get some crowbars so they can pry me off of your ass. Bret tries to out-intensity Austin, and it doesn't work. I'm not insulting Bret. It is a noble effort what he's trying to do, but it's Austin. And when Austin gets intense, you have to be like a top-tier promo guy to match him, like The Rock, like Triple H, like Shawn Michaels. And Shawn Michaels isn't even top tier. Like Shawn Michaels, I would say, is like a B+ guy. But anyways, Austin ends by telling Bret that his grave will say, here lies Bret Hart, the biggest piece of crap that ever walked the earth. This goes back to what I said last week, which obviously Scott wasn't here for because he hates me and was sick. It's Austin and Shawn that make Bret Hart's 1997 heel run memorable, and this only enforces that. This is also the start of something kind of interesting, which is really the anti-hero in WWF, because he specifically talks about good guys and bad guys. He is getting the point across to the audience that he's neither of those things. He's Steve Austin. So you either boo him or cheer him. He doesn't give a shit. And that is really what Austin needed, because what they wanted him to be was a good guy after WrestleMania 13. That would have halted the momentum of Steve Austin. Stone Cold knows that that can't happen. So he makes sure in his promo to establish he's neither of those things. He is himself. And that works perfectly. Gets an A+. It's Steve Austin. It's probably the promo of the night. It's fantastic between both shows. Loved it.
Yeah, he doesn't care if you boo him or you cheer him.
Nope.
He's just going to beat Bret and his pink panties. That's what he calls Bret's trunks, which I loved, which is put on your pink panties and come out and face him. Loved it. Loved it. It was fantastic. Absolutely the promo of the night. And that about does it, except for our main event, which is for the WWF Intercontinental Championship, and it is Rocky Maivia versus Bret the Hitman Hart. 13-minute match. Tell me.
Bret has a great match with the young Rocky, but he does grow frustrated as the match continues because Rocky won't give up. So instead, he wraps Rocky's legs up on the turnbuckle figure 4 that he did to Shawn a few weeks ago, and he holds it for longer than the 5 count is allowed, and so he's disqualified.
Mm-hmm.
The minute he gets disqualified, Stone Cold runs in to attack Hart, and Bulldog and Owen beat him up with Bret. The Legion of Doom run in to even the odds, and Austin chases Bret through the crowd as the show ends. It's not perfect. It is still very enjoyable, so I'm going to give this a B. I did really enjoy this.
Yeah, I thought the ending of the match was actually really good. Because obviously, I mean, Bret's not gonna. It wouldn't be right. I don't feel like I don't think Bret needs the Intercontinental title, right? Because he's in world champion conversation, so he doesn't need the Intercontinental title. But he also can't lose to Rocky. So how do we do this? Well, we further the storyline that he's the heel. He does that just nasty looking sharpshooter on the pole, on the buckle, which we love. I mean, that's great. That's a great move.
Yes.
It just looks so nasty. And I think it was a great way to handle it. And we've got Stone Cold comes out. We've got the Legion of Doom that comes out versus in there. They've got beef with Bret and Bulldog, or Owen and Bulldog.
Right.
So yeah, I think it was a great way to end the night.
Mhm.
But was it great enough to be the program of the night?
It was. It was. Raw was fucking miles ahead of Nitro. Looking back at Nitro, I can only remember one thing I liked, which is the DDP and Mach thing. And the reason I say it is because I closed my notes, so I can't even remember what happened. But the DDP and Mach thing is like the one thing I remember really enjoying.
When you said DDP, I thought you were going to say the DDP Johnny Ringo match. And I was like, what? I was like, what? Because I'm looking at the card. And I'm like, what? Yeah, it's got to be Raw, right? Like, there was nothing. Is there a single match on Nitro that, I mean, I guess the Jericho Steven Regal match is pretty good.
Yeah. Viano and
Psychosis.
Psychosis. That was pretty good. But those were good matches with really no story. I mean, Regal's had story because of what it does after, but the other one, no story involved.
Yeah, you're right. It's Raw. I'm not gonna drag it out because I can't find. Sometimes I try to play devil's advocate. I try to justify. I say, well, we got this or we got that, but there's really, look at the card. There's really nothing. And even the main event, I'm a tag team guy, and I'm excited to see the Steiner brothers in tag team. But main event versus High Voltage, that's not the tag team. Like if that was like Faces Up Fear or something, hell yeah, let's do it. But I like High Voltage, but they're not main event tag team. No. They just show up when they need to lose. They're jobbers. We know they are.
Right now, yeah.
And I mean, they're always gonna be. They're never not jobbers, which is unfortunate because I'd work them. If if it was me, they would have a robust tag team division. But I mean, Eric Bischoff talked about this. He just talked about how the tag team division is expensive. It's double the cost.
It's double the cost. So let's just take all of our single stars and put them in tag teams. So it's still double the cost anyways. And we're paying them more because they're single stars.
Absolutely. But I just don't understand why you have just some of the best tag team guys around right now and you don't really use them. It's crazy to me. Anyways, Raw wins. That's it. We're done. We got a pay-per-view this coming weekend, and then we'll be back for more Monday Night Wars.
Hi, guys.